Hey guys, welcome back. So,
Hey.
Malcolm and I have another fun video. As you can tell from the title, we just wanted to put together a few tips for wedding planning, specifically for destination weddings, since we just had a destination wedding.
Yeah.
So we just wanted to share a few things that maybe would have been a little bit more helpful had we known them before we started.
Yeah.
So,
so hopefully you enjoy it and get some good tips from us.
yeah, so just the background, we got married in Paris at the beginning of September. So we did have to plan an international destination wedding, but we do have tips that are helpful for both domestic and international weddings. So, we put together like 10 tips. It's like the top 10 tips. So y'all ready? Let's go.
All right. So number one, budget. Yeah. So that is the most important thing. Definitely when you want to plan any wedding, knowing how much you can afford, what the size of the group is going to be.
Yeah.
Kind of getting those ideas together, well in advance. That way you kind of know what you're working with and what you can spend money on.
Yeah, what we did, we started saving for our wedding when we got engaged. We would just we agreed on a certain amount that we would each set aside per pay period, and we opened a separate account that we didn't spend from. We didn't have any debit cards that had access to it. We would just like put money in there and save it. I think that was helpful.
We did have debit cards,
but we didn't spend from it.
We use it like
to buy wedding stuff
for the wedding.
Yeah. So like if you had to buy like postage for invitations and buyer invitations, that kind of stuff, we spent out of that account. So it kind of helped us keep track a lot more. Also, know if your parents are helping you guys pay for your wedding. Know who's putting in, who's not. If you're solely responsible for your wedding, that's pretty much going to determine where you can and can't go.
There's another thing like your wedding attire, your honeymoon, all of that stuff should be included into your budget. I mean, you should itemize everything. That way there's no surprises or things that you didn't account for.
But you should overspending. You should just expect to spend more. Like no matter what your budget is, you're probably going to spend more than that. You can expect a certain number of guests to come. You might have more. Yeah. You might forget about small things like the garments that go under your dress, your hair, your nails, your makeup, like all that stuff costs. So set a budget, a realistic budget, and try your best to stick to it. But that's the first thing you need to do, like the money, because if you can't afford it, you can't do it. So our second tip is picking your location. If you're having a destination wedding, then you have to find a place to have your wedding. So first decide if you want it to be domestic or international. Like I said, the budget could help dictate that. And how far you want to go. What we did was we picked a place that a lot of our guests had not been to because we wanted it to be an experience, not just a wedding. So it was like a vacation for people. A lot of people went to other countries before and after our wedding and some people use it as their honeymoon. I just think it was a really nice place. Paris was a really nice place. A lot of people just had not been there.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a nice city. I mean, a lot of we've seen a lot of ideas for destination weddings, and we wanted it to be different. And I think that Paris definitely allowed it to have its own unique identity, I guess, in terms of weddings that we've seen, where people don't have it in Atlanta
But Paris is expensive. So like if you can't it was extremely expensive and we had a very small group. But so I think that also determining when your wedding helps you pick your location. So if you want a summer wedding or you want it to be warm, pick a location that's warm during that month. So you can't go to like New York in January thinking it's going to be hot. Like that's just not going to work. So be cognizant of what the weather is going to be like. Also, I would suggest picking a place that's fun for your guests that may have like tourist sites or fun things to do, fun things to see, and also consider the cost for your guests when they're coming, like the hotel, getting to and from the venue, if you're having a rehearsal dinner, whatever other events you're having around your wedding. Just think of the cost. Like you don't want your hotels to be $500 a night because that then a lot of people may not want to come. So
and it won't be like a shot at you. It's
right.
Just the
it's
fact
just that money.
People don't got it like that. You know. So, but another thing to add to it is like make sure that you've visited that place before, because that helped a lot. We've been there before, and it helped a lot to be able to kind of know the ins and outs of the city. We weren't learning it at the same time as our guests, so we were able to tell them, and so they can be comfortable with like getting around and kind of knowing what to expect before they got there. So that really helped. Going to Paris first, going there first. Yeah. So the third point is picking a date. And most importantly, when you pick a date, you want to put it in a place where you don't have like a lot of, like if you can put it around a holiday or something where people are already going to be off of work, it helps, with people getting days off, especially like a destination. You don't want your guests to feel like they have to fly in and fly back out.
Right. Or take off work.
Yeah, take off work. I mean, not a whole lot of days. Yeah. Some people might be willing to take 1 or 2 days off, but expecting people to take 3 and 4 days off, it's not really that realistic. And of course, some dates are going to be popular, so some people may also be getting married, or maybe have plans.
Also, about the date, if you're traveling, especially internationally, you have to be aware of the time changes. So that's why we started our events earlier, because we had to let people get used to the sleeping schedule. You don't want people to be coming into town when it's daytime there, but nighttime, on their schedule, and then going straight to a wedding, like they're not going to have fun. So you have to build in time for travel, determine how much time it takes to travel. If it's going to take someone, if it's a drive, if it's an 8-hour drive from your hometown or his hometown, consider that, consider flights, consider delays, just build in extra time. Just don't have your wedding so close to when you were expecting people to come into town. So we did do Labor Day weekend, but we did it on a Saturday. So people still had Sunday and Monday. Most people left out Monday, and most people did come in on that Wednesday. So that was good. Yeah,
and another thing with the date too, like, for your anniversaries and all that, you also want to keep that in mind. That way, you kind of are, planning ahead where, if you like to travel to islands and things like that, or you like warm weather, or you like cold weather,
or if you have kids,
if you
later,
have kids,
you don't want it to be during the school year. Just think about that too.
Yeah, so keep that in mind too. Yeah.
So for the fourth tip, it's all about the guest list, which can be very hard, can be very sticky. We both have really big families. We're both Greek, so we had line brothers and line sisters and all kind of stuff like that. What we had to do was narrow down our guest list, because some people say you can invite people because a lot of people are not going to come, but you never know, because people might show up that you didn't count on coming. And I think a good rule of thumb is to only invite people that you both agree on. And then also consider, are you giving people +1s? I mean, it is customary in our country if someone is married, that you would invite their spouse, but are you allowing people who are not married to bring someone? Another thing that we did was we didn't have children at our wedding. That was just something I didn't want. I just didn't want children at my wedding. I feel like babies crying while I'm coming down the aisle and saying my vows. I don't got time for that, because it's about me. So I just didn't want children. We don't have kids. We don't have kids.
That kind of, helped our decision on that one.
And plus, with it being an international wedding, people would have had to pay to bring their children. Imagine you have 2 or 3. Yeah. They would have had to have someone watch them, and you're not in a place where there are sitters. Like, you don't know anyone because you're traveling. So I think for destination weddings, unless they're older, maybe like teenage age, and they can stay in a hotel room by themselves, maybe consider that. But for people who have babies and young children, if I got married in Atlanta, I would not have had children at my wedding. That was just a personal decision, but consider that too, because children cost just like adults.
Yeah, you're gonna have to feed them. You're gonna have to. If I've seen someone even have a sitter for children.
Yeah, and I ain't paying for that.
But it's an option though. So like, if you want to do that, you could. But I mean, it's all of these things go into planning.
I mean, my thing is, I don't bring my kids to your stuff, so.
You ain't got no kids. Okay, so for the 5th tip, you want to decide whether you need a planner or not. And we, doing it internationally, had to have one.
Absolutely.
It was not even a question, because there's language barriers.
Hello.
There's just getting to different vendors. All of these things that we would have had to do across an ocean, it just would not have turned out, I believe, as nice.
Yeah. Our wedding planner was truly a lifesaver.
Yeah.
But you definitely have to consider that cost too. That would be a part of the budget if you can afford a planner. And a lot of the time, some planners will charge you based on your budget. So the more money you spend, the higher their fee is. Some people might charge a flat rate, and you also have to know, what is your planner doing? You can also just hire a day of coordinator, which is a person who only comes in and just makes sure everything is together on the day of. But for us, we had a planner the entire time. She found us our photographer, our venue, videographer. I found my own makeup artist and whatnot, but she pretty much provided suggestions for everything in every realm, because we didn't know Paris at all. We didn't know anyone there, and to find a venue there would have been very hard because we could not venue shop in person. What she did was put together like a slideshow for us and would send us pictures, and she would go and she would call, like we would FaceTime or Skype. So that was necessary for us. But if you're getting married in another state, or if it's maybe even like Jamaica or something like that, I think it might be a little simpler to do it
they
by
actually,
yourself.
For most like island destinations, I think that they have
those packages.
They knock those out. You know, so if you were planning like a beach wedding or things like that, a lot of times you would pick like the hotel, and that you really like, and then they
have a person there
that do weddings, and they're sort of like a planner. You wouldn't need a planner in that case, I wouldn't think. Yeah, but
our planner was great. It was necessary for us, but you know, it's just something you guys have to decide if that's what you need or not. For tip number 6, we wanted to talk about having activities planned for your guests, especially if you're going internationally or somewhere that a lot of people don't live or frequent. So we had our guests come in Wednesday to Paris, and then we didn't plan anything. We let people rest and, you know, get themselves together. And Thursday night, we had a welcome reception that was done at our host hotel. We had gift bags with little gifts for them, like a little liquor, a little candy, a little brochure, a little what to do, you know. The itinerary.
For the PG folks, we had water.
No, yeah, we did have bottled water. It was real cute. It was real cute. So we had a welcome reception. We did that mainly because a lot of our guests didn't know each other. Like his friends and my friends didn't know each other. And before our wedding came Saturday, I wanted them to know each other. I wanted my wedding to be like popping. I wanted everybody to have a good time. So it's better for people to know each other. So the welcome reception was a good, like...
It was an icebreaker.
Yeah. We had wine, light hors d'oeuvres. We had little games like find the guest who's this or that. And it helped people talk to people. So that was a good little activity. And then we did... What was Friday?
Friday we had the cruise.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we cruised on the river that goes around Paris. It's called the Seine. But we cruised around that. It was like an hour cruise, and it was really cheap for our guests.
Like €11
yeah, it was
per person.
€11. So it was like, and since we had 40 people coming, it helped with the price. And I mean, regularly it would have only been 15, but still.
We did that because what I wanted to do was at least make sure the guests saw the Eiffel Tower, saw some major parts of Paris.
Right.
So to force them to come to something outside of the hotel where everybody was and we met, we just did the cruise that morning, and then when we got off, most people did sightseeing, they ate, took pictures.
Yep, did their own thing.
Yeah, and then that night we had our rehearsal dinner with just the immediate family. But our guests had the entire day to do whatever they want. You don't really want to
you don't
overbook. Let people venture out too, but have a few things to get them out.
Had some structure.
Yeah.
Okay, so for the 7th tip, we want to talk about the website. You want it to be your main hub for all the information that you have, you know, for your guests. You want to have we have our registry, we had the itinerary.
You could
RSVP. We had frequently asked questions.
What to bring.
Yeah, we had we had a lot of things on there.
Even though people didn't read it.
Yeah. Well, it was still there for them.
Still asking the same questions. I'm like, did you go to the website? Did you read it? So basically, we did the knots in knot.com. They have free websites. We put our engagement pictures up there, and there's a template. You just insert your information. One of the most important things I think was the what to bring section, because it was international. So we told people, don't forget your adapters, you know, from is it Europe to US? US, Europe, whatever, because you can't use your normal plugs in their walls in the hotel. Don't forget your passport. Make sure your passport is up to date. Don't forget to call your bank and let them know you're going out of the country. Bring your camera. Don't forget to bring a light jacket, that kind of stuff. I think it had a lot of informative stuff on there. So have your website before you send your save the dates, because you should have your website on your save the dates. If not, at least on your invitations. But you have to really start working on that stuff as soon as possible, but it's very helpful for your guests. So we would absolutely recommend having a website. That's for any wedding. I mean, it's 2016. Everybody got a website anyway, so.
Yeah, and we had pictures on there that people hadn't seen yet.
Yeah, it
was nice.
Tip number 8, you should probably get a travel agent or someone who's going to be responsible for assisting your guests with getting to and from your destination, hotels, flights, transfers from the airport, etc. That was very helpful for us. Luckily, my brother-in-law is a travel agent, and he was a godsend. Like he's so reliable, and he has his own travel agency on the side. So I just came to him and I was like, "Can you present us with packages from certain cities to Paris and back?" Like, so my family's from Georgia, his family's from Jersey. So we just did like 2 sample packages to show people how much it would cost. Our packages included flight, round trip, and the hotel, and it was a really good price. He was our contact person, so that helped us a lot too. Nobody was blowing our phones up about when to do. You don't have time for that when you're trying to plan a wedding and you working, especially if you got kids, and it's too much. So having him was very, very helpful for us.
Yeah, and travel agents normally, as long as a lot of family members may have one.
Yeah, already. They do. Some people did go through their own agent.
And it would help if you had one that would be able to put together those packages and get things in order for you. That way you're not, worrying about deposits and payments and things like that. Mm-hmm. All right, so tip number 9, we're going to talk about stationery, save the dates, invites, things that you have to do well in advance so that your guests know that you're getting married. So we did our engagement pictures first in August or something like that, and we got our save the dates out by December. Yeah, so
and our wedding was the following September.
Right. So you want to make sure that you have enough time to get your photos back. That way you can use that for your stationery
and your website.
Yeah, and your website. So that helps planning very early, getting that information out early, and the website was ready, prior to the save the dates. So you have a lot of information that you want to have done before you start notifying people.
Yeah, and if you have the time, our engagement was somewhat long. It was a year and some months. Some people get married very quickly from the time that they get engaged, so you're not able to do it as soon as we did. But because you had an international wedding, some people didn't have passports. Some people had to do certain paperwork. People had to save money. So we wanted to let our guests know well in advance so that they could save, make their deposits, pay their balances, and have our guest list prepared timely, because we had to pay vendors based on our guest count. So a lot of things kind of relied on the other, but definitely having your stationery done soon, going on ahead and scouting out what you like, what you don't like, just having those things. Yeah, you can save money if you do them yourself, but our stationery wasn't expensive. I think our save the dates, I can't remember what website we got them from, but if I can find it, I'll link it below, as well as our invitation. So just plan ahead. That's the main point. Plan early. Yeah. So for point 10, this is the last tip. We just wanted to talk about the response that you may receive. This may not happen, but having a destination wedding, you have to be prepared for the fact that some people may not be able to travel, whether it be because of financial situations, they have children, they can't leave, their age, health. So my grandmother couldn't come. A lot of you may know my grandmother is 100, so she couldn't travel. I have friends who are pregnant who couldn't travel, so they did miss out. Just be prepared for, maybe everybody can't come, but that has to be something that you are okay with before you decide to have a destination wedding. Right. And honestly, even if you have a wedding where you live, some people still ain't gonna come. So
that you may want to come.
So don't let that be a deciding factor, but just be prepared for it. Another thing that I want to mention is that I didn't have a bridal party, or we didn't have a bridal party. That was a decision that I was going to have whether I was getting married in Atlanta or not, but especially having a international wedding, the cost to get there was enough, and to think that I would have to have someone get dresses, shoes, hair, makeup, and still come, I just felt like that was a lot. So we were okay with having a very small wedding, no bridal party, knowing a lot of people couldn't make it, but it was still, in my opinion, it was still amazing. I don't feel like we were missing.
Right.
I don't think anything felt missing or lacked. So
I think it took a lot more coordination to have a bridal party.
It would have taken a lot. And then the personalities, and I didn't want to deal with that. And then I know how my friends are. Some folks don't like certain dresses. It just was too much. But just know that having an international wedding, some people may be upset with you because they can't go, and some people may have things to say about where you decide to get married. But just remember, it's your wedding, you and him, make your decisions. Just getting ready for your marriage anyway. You have to do things that are in the best interest of your household going forward. Just sit down and talk about it, though.
Yeah, and definitely
weigh the pros and cons.
Definitely agree on it, because had we not been in agreement to do it,
wouldn't have
one
worked.
side of it probably would have been tension there. So definitely agree on the fact that a lot of people may not come. Just have all of that just in agreement.
Yeah. So. Yeah.
One other tidbit, just for traveling or getting married internationally, we didn't get like
legally married in
France. Paris, yeah, because it would have been so much paperwork to get it done. What we did was we did our wedding
at the courthouse.
Yeah, at the courthouse
in Atlanta
the Friday before. Mm-hmm. So that way we were married close to the time that we did our wedding.
Right.
But we did that here. That way we could avoid a whole lot of paperwork. And we did the ceremony.
Yeah, we had a symbolic ceremony. That's what it's considered. So think about that too. Like if it's really important to you to be married on your wedding day, that could determine your location. It's not impossible. Yeah, it's not impossible to get married in another country, but it was too much red tape for us. I was like, let's just go to the courthouse. We had a very intimate ceremony with our immediate families. And then some people who couldn't come to Paris came to that. So if you want to do that, you can maybe invite more people there. But we just had a very small, intimate wedding at the courthouse. So we were legally married a week and some days before our wedding. And then we left to go to Paris and had a ceremony. So really think about that too, because that's something that a lot of people may not consider. So I think that's it.
Yeah. If you're going to do it, enjoy yourself. Pick a good place. Do it right. And take your time. Make sure you plan it out.
It's going to be nice.
Don't rush it. It's going to be nice.
We don't regret it at all. So if you that's what you want to know, I don't regret it. It was one of the best days of my life. It was an amazing experience. I think people had a really good time. So, yeah. All right. And also, if y'all want to see more videos with my husband. Ooh, my husband now. Let us know. If you want to see a relationship video, if you guys have questions, want to hear from a male's perspective, I don't know, leave them down below. Let us know. So
yeah. All right, it's been fun.
All right, bye guys. Don't forget to subscribe. And we are done. And who was texting me? How about we just go straight to the phone?
You know fucked it up.
Where did you get your mind?
I was trying. Okay,
this
so
is 7. Sorry. Certain things for your gifts in there. Gifts. Shit. Let me start over.
Dang, that was a lot too.
I know.
I'm gonna go use the bathroom.
Wait, I'm ready. Okay, go ahead. You're supposed to pee before you come to set.
This ain't set.
Hold on.
Come on, I'm ready. I'm gonna be white by the time you finish.